There's a moment in every argument where one person raises their voice and loses, not loses the point, loses something worse. They lose the room. Most people think an argument is about who's right. It's not. An argument is a performance, and the audience, whether it's one person or 20, is always watching the same thing. Not the words, the composure. The person who stays calm controls something the loud person can't even see. They control the frame. They decide what this interaction is about. The loud person thinks they're winning because they're dominating the air. But volume is not authority. It never was. Epictetus said it 2,000 years ago. Any person capable of angering you becomes your master. But he left out the other half. The person who refuses to be angered becomes everyone else's reference point. And that's where the real power sits. Picture this. You get pulled over. You've done nothing wrong. You know it. The officer walks up and his tone is already sharp, already disrespectful, like you owe him something beyond what the law requires. Now, most people respond to that energy. They match it. They get defensive. Their voice tightens. And the moment that happens, they've handed over the entire interaction because now the officer has a reason, not a legal reason, an emotional one. He can point to your tone, your body language, your resistance, and justify whatever comes next. Here's what most people miss about that kind of moment. You didn't win an argument. There was no argument. And that's exactly why you won. When you refuse to enter the arena someone else built, you aren't avoiding the fight. You're denying it oxygen. And a fire without oxygen doesn't slowly die. It never starts. There's a pattern in every workplace. The person who raises their voice in a meeting is never the most senior person in the room. Watch for it next time. The CEO doesn't shout. The founder doesn't pound the table. The person with the least security does. Volume is not confidence. Volume is a cover charge for insecurity. There was a study published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology. Researchers found that people who expressed anger during disagreements were initially perceived as more competent. But here's the part nobody talks about. That perception collapsed within minutes. Once the initial shock faded, observers rated the calm person as more credible, more intelligent, and more trustworthy. Anger gets you the first 5 seconds. Composure gets you the next 5 years. The Stoics had a word for this, ataraxia, usually translated as tranquility, but that makes it sound passive, like you're sitting in a garden ignoring the world. That's not what it means. Ataraxia is undisturbedness under pressure. It's not the absence of conflict. It's the refusal to let conflict rearrange you. And in a workplace, the person who has that, who sits in a room full of raised voices and doesn't flinch, that person gets followed. Not because they gave the best speech, because they were the only one who didn't need to give one. Now let's talk about the place where this gets hardest. Personal relationships. Because at work you can perform calm, you can white knuckle it. But with someone who knows you, a partner, a family member, an old friend, they know where the buttons are. They installed half of them, and this is where most calm under pressure advice falls apart. It tells you to breathe, count to 10, walk away. That's management, that's not mastery. The real shift is this. You have to stop seeing the argument as something to win and start seeing it as something to observe. Marcus Aurelius wrote, and this line changed how I think about every disagreement. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. He wasn't talking about revenge. He was talking about identity. When someone comes at you loud, aggressive, emotional, they're offering you a role in their story. The villain, the opponent, the one who fights back. And the moment you take that role, you're in their script. The calm person doesn't take the role, doesn't refuse it dramatically, just doesn't pick it up. And that, quietly, without a single clever line, is how you win an argument that never needed to happen. Here's the reframe I want to leave you with. We've been taught that arguments are contests. Someone wins, someone loses. But that's a child's model of conflict. The adult model, the Stoic model, is that an argument is a test, not of your logic, of your self-possession. And the results don't show up in who had the last word. They show up in who still has their peace when it's over. The calm person doesn't always win the argument. The calm person makes the argument irrelevant. And that is a kind of victory no loud voice can touch. If this landed, the next video goes deeper into why the most dangerous people in any room are the ones who never need to prove it.